It's time for a real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. We had a little situation in the White House yesterday. It seems that Trump and the president of El Salvador, Bukele, got together. Bukele came up from El Salvador, and they got the whole team together, the whole Trump team together. And they are doubling down on the apparently not wanting to recover a wrongfully deported man from a torture prison, a super torture prison in El Salvador. His name is Kimar Abrego Garcia. Here's the story that broke yesterday. It looks like they won't be returning the deported man. They're not even going to try. A Maryland resident here legally from El Salvador. They're basically changing their mind and saying we're not going to do this. Well, that's interesting. So I'm assuming there's going to be some pushback there. Well, yeah, there actually is going to be some pushback here. Let's see how that goes. This is actually I'm going to warn you guys. So this clip is basically as you guys could probably guess, it's a rehearsed kind of rapid fire back at what Trump calls, and we agree most of the time, 95% of the time, we're talking about fake news CNN. Fake news CNN attempts to ask a question and they are ready to fire back. Let's see what happens when you get Bukele and Trump together and his entire team fighting back against Caitlin Collins of CNN, who's asking, why are you not bringing this guy back from El Salvador like you said you would?
Who your administration says was mistakenly deported. The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him?
And you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
You are doing a great job. Yeah, she rehearsed that very well, and she's citing this. We'll get to this in a second, but they're what they have done here, and pretty successfully, they've maneuvered around a Supreme Court order that not only are they going to participate in this and be cooperative, they're going to initiate it with the president of El Salvador, with Bukele. So this is and they're both sitting there right now. This is what's so unbelievable about this moment is that they're both sitting there. There's nobody else they need to check in with that's not in the room. They're all there. So we hope there's some more pushback from the mainstream fake news. Like we said, 95% of the time, fake news all the way. But are they able to get another question in? No, because Trump's got his next people lined up. I guess after we had Pam Bondi speaking, Stephen Miller's going to jump in. This guy's hard to interrupt. Let's hear.
Wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant because they're totally slanted because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens.
That's not what they're doing, just to be clear. And he is legally here, a legal resident in Maryland. That's a fact. And they're not telling El Salvador what to do. They're saying this you've already admitted that you made a mistake and he was not supposed to be deported. So that's already been admitted to. And Trump has already said he was going to work with the president of El Salvador to correct this. So now they're backpedaling on that and saying, how dare you ask us this question? And CNN they're just bad at their job, or this is where the job stops. They're not going to go any further with this. We're going to get to how they package this on the left in just a moment, because both sides got this wrong. And this is why you guys are tuning in here, because we're able to assess everything from a non-tribal point of view. This is the perfect story to demonstrate that with, because everybody's in their little tribe. But let's hear a little more of this.
As a starting point. As 2 immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States.
So what he's doing here is he's steering past the taking away of the due process. These are claims against him. He's never had a chance to defend those claims. So these are just claims. They're just like, as we would say on a schoolyard, these are just rumors and gossip. And they're going with that without giving the guy due process. And anybody watching you right now, I don't care what side you're on, I don't care who you voted for, you got to understand that underneath all of this, there is a threat against everybody's right to defend themselves and have a due process. That's what this is. And it doesn't stop at people who are just legal residents, green card holders, visas. It goes to citizens too. As we saw from previous weeks, we saw Trump say, let's send more people to El Salvador, into this super prison where you'll never get anyone back. He's already done that. And that's in regard to the Tesla people that did the vandalism on the Teslas. So the fact that the Trump side is not speaking up against this and saying this, where's the fine line? This is a slippery slope. So no, the guy has not gotten to defend himself. Let's be absolutely clear. But no pushback from CNN. But they're, let's just be clear. They're probably petrified to be in this room at all. I mean, Caitlin Collins is not going to be able to fight this because she's already been part of such dishonest journalism and coverage in the past, that how do you honestly stand up against this when you're getting pushback? So she's never going to get another question in, just to be clear. I don't know if it's necessarily her fault at this point, but that's what you get for being part of a news organization that's not news, it's propaganda. And here you go. And now you're stuck in the room getting hit from all sides.
So we had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States, and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan
But
to
the
ask for
Supreme
anything
Court
else
is
to get him
asking
back?
to.
And
that
what was
was
the
the
ruling
ruling?
in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling.
In our
saying
favor?
No district.
What do they mean in our favor? This is the actual Supreme Court ruling that came out April 10th. The United States removed Armando Abrigo Garcia from the U.S., where he's currently detained. The U.S. acknowledges that Garcia was subject to a withholding order forbidding his removal to El Salvador. So they're saying in the SCOTUS review of this, they're admitting it was that he was forbidding to be removed to El Salvador. So this has to be corrected. This is, as you see in the quotes, an administrative error. They go on and talk about the MS-3 allegations, but he has not had a chance to respond to that. So again, they're talking about a win. What does that even mean? What do you mean a win for us? Us against them? What are you talking about? 9-0 us. What do you mean by that, Stephen Miller? It's pretty insane. Let's do this. I'm going to cut to the end where the President Bukele chimes in, and it's pretty remarkable here. This coordinated effort by these two, that you would think these two would not get along so well, but the reason they're getting along so well is because they have conducted out in the open, it's called legal human trafficking. That's what's happening here. This is a government sanctioned human trafficking where Trump sells each person to El Salvador for a certain amount of money that they get to put into their economy per head. So that's what's happening here. And that's why they're aligned here. And that's why he flew back here to sit here in this little theater piece to let people know, shut the F up. This is what's happening. Listen to this part.
How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to do that. What are you guys talking about? I can't go. What do you think I am, the president of El Salvador? I can't go into a super prison and take a, as he says, a terrorist who's not gone to trial. By the way, there's no trial. It's just, no, I can't do that. What the hell are you guys talking about? In other words, the exchange already has been made. I've already been paid for this guy. I'm not going to undo the deal. The deal's been made. So F you.
United States. But you can release him inside El Salvador. Yeah, but I'm not releasing, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world.
So he's talking about El Salvador at one point was the murder capital of the world. It no longer is, because they scooped everyone up that had any sort of indication of being part of any gang or any criminal activity and threw them in a prison and locked the door. No judge sees people. They hundreds and hundreds of people are gone. Once they go in, they're gone. That's it. We've seen shots from Google Earth. We've seen the bloodshed all around this super prison. So he's bragging and gloating about this is how you clean up crime, how you clean up a country is you lock everyone up and you just take away the judicial system, and that's it. So anybody you want to target, just throw them away, lock the key, throw it away, and that's how you clean up. So he's bragging about that. Trump wants to probably follow in the footsteps of that. But let's look at this. This is the more important part, and this is why we do the show, guys. I want to show you guys the pushback, because I don't even call this pushback. How do you think these so-called journalistic outlets are responding to this? You think that they'd have more sensible commentary about this? No, their job, MSNBC, CNN, their job is to lead you down the incorrect path as far as what to be mad about. So let's hear who MSNBC brings on to discuss what the real problem is in this situation. Not what he's saying is the problem, it's what he's not saying. Listen to this.
We are now taking a test.
What's the test?
The test is, do you see these people as human beings deserving of the protection as human beings of the country that has styled itself the foremost protector of decency and due process in human history? And when you show these videos and you allow this administration to cast these people as people who should be shackled, who don't look like you, what they don't want you to realize in the case of Mr. Abrego Garcia is that this was a dad who was apprehended while in a parking lot of an IKEA with his autistic son in the back. And one of the most primary criteria for why he was apprehended was because he was wearing a Chicago Bulls cap and hoodie. Everybody acknowledges that this guy, as we see photos of him and his family, did not deserve any of this.
Okay, so none of that is wrong. That's all accurate. But let's see where he's heading with this. This is about playing. This is what the left does so well. This is it. It's a race card. That's it. So the assessment is that Trump and his team, their problem is they just can't get over their racism, their hatred to non-white people. This is the simplistic language that gets the left furious. Because they're not willing to go further to the American imperialism, the Western imperialism machine that is really behind this. Now, of course, xenophobia is a thing. That means the fear of the other, and that's something they capitalize on. But it's not the heart of the issue. We're not getting to the heart of the issue. This is about drumming up the empathy and the humanity of the situation, but we're not looking at what's actually coming down the pipeline. The reason they can't tell us what's coming down the pipeline is because they are guilty of the same thing. As they cheer on punishing protesters of genocide, punishing people that are, oh, you're challenging the Israel machine. So they are also part of that. And so that's why they stop at the race card, and that's it. And then we are left, if you're on the left, you're left with this fury that you've been given. Like, oh, that racist president, he just can't. That's why he's doing it. No, that's not why he's doing it. He's doing it because this is how American capitalism, this is how Western imperialism works. Again, if you guys are confused, I know there's a lot of people on the left confused right now. Like, how the hell does El Salvador president, how does Bukele and Trump sit there so smugly together, high-fiving what they're doing? It's like I said, a human trafficking operation, government sanction, totally out in the open, and they're both very, very smug about it. Let's see one more example about the theater of the two of them sitting there, because this one stuck out with me when they talk about the fake news here, and rightfully so. There's fake news. That's what Trump won on in 2016. Was he won on fake news? You guys are insincere when you report. And so look at these. I don't understand how you can make sense of this if you are still stuck on the left and you think that the two of these guys sitting together high-fiving about this makes any sense, unless there's something bigger going on, like I said, that the mainstream's not telling you. And that's why you're watching this show. We're telling you what's really going on. So let's hear some braggadocious language from the two presidents.
We appreciate it.
Thanks. Actually, what you're doing with the border is remarkable. It has dropped, 95%? It's incredible.
As of this morning, 99%, 99.1% to be exact.
Why are those numbers not in the media?
Well, they get out with the fake news, like CNN over here doesn't want to put them out because they don't like putting out good numbers. They only like putting out because I think they hate our country, actually.
Yeah,
but it's a shame. You're right. Isn't that a great question? Why doesn't the media? Why don't they put out numbers?
Yeah, 99%. I mean, it's crazy, right?
We're doing
it's
great.
A crazy turnaround.
Christy, could you maybe say a couple of words?
Yeah, it's crazy. They won't report on 99%, but they didn't even say what that percentage was. What do you mean? The border, 95%? No, 99.1%. Of what? Well, the point is, this is rehearsed. This is theater. I would say this is better theater than the theater CNN's been putting on for years and years. So it's just a matter of who puts up a better show. And congratulations to Bukele and Trump. They put up a better show, and all his entire gang behind him put up a better show than Caitlin Collins at CNN, who have to go back to their office with their tail between their legs. And that is Real Fake News Update, not brought to you by Pfizer.